All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this afternoon's live commentary coverage of practice and qualifying for the Sonoma Raceway's Toyota Save Mart 350, the final road course race of the 2026 NASCAR schedule, back to back out in the state of California for this mini West Coast swing early in the year. And on track activity already under caution for the first time, just minutes into the session. It looks like the 43 of Eric Jones has gone around and maybe a little bit of contact with the tire compact up out of turn 10 right before the entrance to pit road. That's kind of that kink area of the racetrack before you get down into the U-turn like hairpin. A little off-roading for Eric Jones. Yeah, and he backed it into the wall pretty good. Actually, it looked like that was more of a concrete wall out where he hit. Might have done a little bit more damage to the right side of the race car than initially appeared when he had driven back around to pit road in the very next turn. That's a tough break just minutes into that session. That's an area of the track that can get a lot of that sand slash dirt kicked up on the racetrack. Very marbly. Only 11 drivers have completed a lap of practice before the caution came out already, so it's going to be a little bit harder to get maybe some long run speed gauging out of this session, knowing that they have to kind of cool off a little bit and go back out there when we resume green flag competition. Shane Van Gisbergen fastest in practice early on. No surprise on the road course here. The favorite in last week's race on the streets of San Diego at Naval Base Coronado, but he was not able to compete for the win after a crash in stage 2. That took both him and Connor Zilic out of it while all running inside the top 3. Those are the top 2 in practice in the early minutes for this week at Sonoma. Shane Van Gisbergen with a win already on the season. We'll be looking for his second of which this weekend. That win on a road course very early in the year at Watkins Glen. Dominated that race. He wasn't dominant by any means last weekend. He got passed several times at Naval Base Coronado and then ended up back towards the front on pit strategy before the incident in stage 2. So kind of tough to tell if he just wasn't showing his full cards in the first half of that race prior to the exit. He was definitely the pre-race favorite going in, as he will be this week as well. So again, of the 18 cars that will be in Group 1 of practice, we still have quite a few that have not hit the racetrack in this session. Only 11 drivers have completed one lap. Christopher Bell with another cast on that broken left wrist. Was subbed out on a street course last week in San Diego by Brent Cruz, the 18-year-old who took his spot. A last place finish for Bell. He would have gotten points for that race, but no stage points for the 20 team a week ago. And the early exit put them back in points just a little bit further entering this weekend in Sonoma. We'll see if Bell's going to be able to run all 110 laps this weekend. It's going to be very difficult for him. Very likely we'll see Brent Cruz yet again. Bell sits 12th in points, dropping 2 more spots after last week's race, 294 out of first. And as far as the amount of points he is above Shane Van Gisbergen for the final chase spot, only a 59-point cushion entering this weekend. SVG being the favorite for the win. If he can go out and get a bunch of points, that is going to put Bell pretty tight to that cut line again if he does not have a good run this week. Just not going to be very highly likely that that would be the case. Back to green flag action. The cars are on the racetrack again following the short-lived caution for Eric Jones with a crash in turn 10. Top 5 in practice thus far. Shane Van Gisbergen first, Connor Zilic second, John Hunter Nemechek in third, Josh Berry fourth, Ty Dillon in fifth. Eric Jones was at eighth of the 11 that completed a lap before his crash. We'll see if he can continue.
Healing in the right direction. Well, they got on that run to get back up top 5, top 6 in points. After so much bad luck early in the year with runner-up finishes in the Coke 600 at Nashville, racing for the lead when the crash happened at Michigan, you just felt like they were ascending to where they needed to be, and now obviously they've been thrown a curveball. But here we are at a track where he's been really good, and we'll see how he reacts with the injury this weekend and moving forward. That's the spot that 43 went off, and there's another look at it, the three-hander. Now it's been a few years, but that inside wall still just baffles my mind. For so many decades, it was just a flat open area with some tire packs. Well, the thing about it, Steve, is every time you went through there, you didn't know where those tire packs were going to be. They would get bumped by cars, and it would kind of change the shape of the corner all race long or all weekend long. So you come down to that turn and kind of have to be ready for something to be in a different spot. Now with the ball, it's very repetitive, something you can work on and adjust your line, and the ball's not going to move too much. And that caution for the 43, while it doesn't hurt the clock as much as your rhythm, as we follow now here, the two of Austin Cindric. He's a road course racer, always ran really good on them on Saturdays, and now he's had a broken up run, Marty, right? He had to stop after a couple laps, let the tires sit, and now he's back on the track.
And I tell you, Steve, this is a team that's quietly been gaining on that Chase Cup line. 23 points in the last 4 races they've gained. Now +8 above that cup line. But you mentioned the runs here and being in Group A for Austin Cindric. See him just real fast. Has jumped up a little bit there. Actually falls back to 14th. But here's what Austin said on the radio after that first run. Looking at Group A, this track obviously very dusty and a little bit dirty here on Sonoma, especially for this first group. What's the disadvantage of being in Group 1 like Austin Cindric is?
Everything you can dream of is the disadvantage. So this isn't random. The groups are split off your performance. It's last week's finish, your point situation. It's a metric that Adam will go line by line with here in the equation in a minute. But basically, it's a complicated mathematical equation that puts you in Group 1 and the track isn't ready. The group is low, and I pick on that because it's nearly impossible to figure out. Just every team wants to be in the second group. He said the rear tires aren't coming in. Dale, that's clear to me that they're so low on rear air, knowing these rear tires are just going to burn off. They start them nearly flat, so flat that the car just moves all around. And this is really coming underneath it, mostly on the high-speed corners. Yeah, we're seeing those back in, step out in turn 1, turn 2. Cole Custer up the second on the board. Great lap by him. Austin Hill up to the top 5. Todd Gilman, top 5 as well. You know, Custer had jumped P1 when Marty was doing his report. SVG back in the position now as we head toward 15 minutes to go. And we check in on Alex Bowman. Good little road racer, right? Very much in contention before a late spin here last year. Won a handful of years ago on the streets of Chicago. And going next week to Joliet, Illinois, the oval track there south of Charlotte. He's also won there, so a good opportunity for this 48 team to get things going in the right direction. You know, it is Marty's question about the groups because of the accidents. Dale, I guess the rest of the field, that's at least one advantage they have over SVG in qualifying. And Zilich, right, is they think that, you know, the second group should have a better track. It wasn't enough last week. Maybe it'll be enough this week.
You know, you give me funny looks a lot, Steve, but when I said that Joliet south of Charlotte, I meant south of Chicago. I guess all this time on the West Coast means I'm just ready to go home.
I hadn't spent that much time at Fort Mill. I didn't know if it was a new subdivision.
That's right. You sure know. Yeah.
Wade Byron up to second on the board. This team needs a solid run. Kind of sitting far down in the standings comparable to where they probably expected to be at this point in the season, and they need to put some things together to be able to climb a few spots if they can. Have a great shot at the championship this year. Slippery slope, really, Dale, right? Because they're only 10 points behind the next 4 spots. But if you look the other way, one more bad race, and they're going to be at the top line or below. I mean, their cushion is basically gone.
15 minutes to go. Group 1 practice. SVG back at the top in front of Byron, Custer, Zilich, and the check. In wine country on True TV.
Yeah, True TV is where you can watch live commentary. Well, not live commentary, but the actual live video footage of practice and qualifying for, I believe, the rest of the season. I think even the USA Network and NBC races will be on True TV as well for practice and qualifying side. Turner Sports there, and Turner Sports for the TNT slate for the Cup Series the next 5 weeks, which is all 5 of the in-season tournament races. We'll go and do some NASCAR trivia while we're in the middle of group number 1 practice, and then we will go into group 2 practice here shortly. And we're going to do a NASCAR Sonoma quiz for this weekend. Qualifying will be group qualifying immediately after practice. A little bit of a cool down period in between. And the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race will be set to begin in a little over 3 hours from now. 5:30 p.m. Eastern, our start there. And tomorrow's start for the NASCAR Cup race at 3 p.m. Eastern right here on the channel. Early start for those on the West Coast, about a 12:30 green flag drop for them. All right, so looking at some quizzes here. Got NASCAR laps led at Sonoma since 2014. Usually when we do the laps led, it is not as updated. I guess it was last updated in 2020. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. It's such a short time frame. We might just have to do laps led all time at Sonoma. They've been racing here since, I believe, the late 80s. This track basically took over for Riverside as far as trying to keep a road course out on the West Coast. So let's do Sonoma laps led. And we've got 20 minutes on the clock, 73 names. Anybody who has ever led a lap at Sonoma, our quiz for today. And you can play along in our chat. Ethan Chua, Bam Hall, Marcus Villarreal, Northwest Arizona. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. All right. Let's do this. Back to the quiz side of things. Got 20 minutes on the clock. Go Jeff Gordon. He's all time. Robbie Gordon's up there on the list as well. Dale Jarrett, Mark Martin, Ricky Rudd, Rusty Wallace. Just throw random names out there. Dale Jr., Dale Sr., Kevin Harvick, Joey Logano, Keselowski. Oh, wow. Blaney's not on here. Elliott. Got a Bill, no Chase. Yeah, last updated 2017. Suarez on here then? No. AJ Allmendinger's on here. Quite a few laps led for him. Jimmy Johnson. Tony Stewart. Ryan Newman. Casey Kane, former winner. Marcus Ambrose. Juan Pablo Montoya. A couple more winners. Jamie McMurray. He always qualified really well here. Ryan Vickers. Scott Speed. Ornish. Nope, he's not on. Jeremy Mayfield. Harry Gant. Jeff Bodine. Todd Bodine also on the list. Sterling Marlin on here. Yes, he is. Jimmy Spencer. Casey Mears. Okay. John Andretti's on the list. Johnny Benson. No Scott Riggs. No Carpentier, Franchitti. Forrest said. Ron Fellows, 44 laps led. No Jeff Green. Tony Raines at all? No. Denny Hamlin. Matt Kenseth. Wow, Matt Kenseth's not on here. No laps led for him at Sonoma. David Reagan. Nothing. Michael McDowell. Nothing. David Rudiman. Steve Park. No. Steve Park. Michael and Darrell Waltrip. Davey Allison. Kyle Petty's on here. No Eric Almirola. Danica Patrick. She's on here. David Gilliland. Trevor Bain. No Bain. No Stenhouse. No Dylan. Had the Bush brothers, Kyle and Kurt. Terry Labonte. No Bobby Labonte. After Tim Richmond. Kenny Schrader. Morgan Shepherd. Elliott Sadler. Regan Smith. Martin Truex Jr. Clint Boyer, another former winner. Scott Pruitt. Ricky Bobby. Yeah, Kyle Larson's got to be on here. Larson. Andy Lally? Ooh. Clearman. Castle. Moffitt. Stephen Light. Nothing. This is a very difficult quiz this week. Got 52 of 73. No Trickle. Rick Mast is on here. Jerry Nadeau. He had a pole here one year. No Joe Nemechek. Bobby Hamilton. He's on here. Wally Dollenbach. Nothing. Yeah, Jeff Burton. No Ward Burton. Robert Sprague. See, I put Sprague thinking Jack Sprague, but there was a Robert Sprague. I got very lucky that popped up on this list. Mike Bliss. Nothing. Chris Buescher. I don't think I put no Timmy Hill. Greg Biffle is on here. The Biffmeister. Eric Jones. Trying to think of some JGR guys. JJ Yaley. Nothing there. $60 of 73. John Barber, thanks for tuning in. At work, watching. Or can't watch at work, but I hit the like. Appreciate that, John. I did try Stenhouse already. I don't see any names in the chat of those that I have not at least tried yet. Going back through. There's a couple of on here that have led quite a few laps. 64, 85, 40. I don't know of any other. Chad Little. No Ted Musgrave. Mike Skinner. No Skinner. Hitting a wall. I did try Reed Sorensen. He was not on here. Yeah, I don't want to give up this early, but I've struck out on a lot of names. That we try to give ourselves maybe a little bit of time to do another quiz because we still have 8.5 minutes left, and I don't know that I'm going to get that many more names. I did try Rudiman already. I'm just trying to circle around to like big teams, powerhouse teams like a Hendrick. I don't know, like Ricky Craven, I haven't put yet, but he's not on here either. Bernie Irvin. That was a big one I was forgetting. Who about who are some road ringers maybe? Got Morissette and Ron Fellows on here already. Red flag to commence the end of session 1 in practice, by the way. First 25 minutes in the books. And Shane Van Gisbergen, the fastest of the first 18 drivers to make a lap. William Byron, the second fastest. Followed by Cole Custer, Connor Zilic, and John Hunter Nemechek, the rest of the top 5. Got an update for you. Know they've been struggling, but they're up. Oh, you talk about the Tigers? Yeah, I appreciate that, Wade. Know the Tigers are playing right now. I did see that right before I went live. I saw they're up. Alrighty. Who else do we have here for this quiz? Any other? There's got to be some big names I'm missing still. Got to be some big names. I just have to finish this. Because I just don't think I'm going to get anywhere close to perfect in the next 5.5 minutes. It's the only reason. There's a 64 in there. I don't know who else that could be off the top of my head. I didn't put Derek Cope yet. He's not on here either. Kenny Irwin. Oh, I didn't put Carl Edwards. That's rough. For some reason, Carl Edwards is on here 2 times. That's not right. That's so weird. Why is Carl Edwards on here twice? He's on here with 40 and 64. Does that mean he's led 104 laps here, or does that mean he's only led one or the other? Okay, so Carl Edwards is on here twice. Tommy Kendall, I'm missing. That was a road ringer. Steve Grissom's on the list. Alan Kulwicki, Bobby Hillen Jr., Mike Chase, Paul Menard, Dave Marcus, Greg Sachs, John Krebs I would have never gotten. Matthias Ekstrom I wouldn't have gotten either. Not bad. 84%. I'm going to give myself another percentage or two because Carl Edwards is on here twice, but either 84, 86%. Average score is 72, so he still killed it, even giving up 5 minutes early. I definitely could have gotten. I don't know why I didn't think about Carl Edwards, to be completely honest. I got 62 of 73. Or really, there should have been 61 of 72 is what it should have been, but 61 of 72, not bad. We're going to do Sonoma race winners next, and I really think I can get a perfect score. It's going to be across the top 3 series, by the way, which I don't think there have been many truck races out here. Same with O'Reilly, because it was a standalone cup race for a very long time. 6 minutes on the clock. Only 3 O'Reilly races, and they've been in recent years 24, 25, 23, all the last 3 years. Trucks ran here in 2022. And then they also ran here 4 times in the late 90s. That one's going to be tough. Late 90s truck series. That's going to be very difficult. See what we've got. Former winners. Got to go Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, Jimmy Johnson, Ricky Rudd, Mark Martin, Ernie Irvin, got Davey Allison, Rusty Wallace, Montoya, shoot, he didn't win here. Truex, Boyer, Bush. Denny Hamlin has not won here. All right, let's lock in here. Van Gisbergen. Zilich won the O'Reilly race last year. Allmendinger in 23? Nope. Early truck years, we'll go no Skinners. Try Hornaday. Ron Hornaday's only on here one time. 96 through 98 in the truck series is going to be really difficult. Robert Presley. I guess Steve Park. Dennis Setzer. Like, who would have been in the truck series at that time? Jeff Bodine. I don't know who would have been in the truck series. Casey Kane's got a win here in 2009. Carl Edwards, 2014. (2017) Suarez got his first win in 22. Oh, that was dumb. 2024 Larson in 21 also. 2017, who was that? Hamlin should have won here that year that Tony Stewart knocked him out of the way on the final lap. He had that one. He just blew the last corner, and then Tony finished him off. Got 3 minutes left. Let's see what the chat has to say. P-Chat, thanks for tuning in. Hocevar did win that truck race. Right? Oh, he was on the pole for it. Oh, Kyle Busch. I already have him. My bad. (2017). Why am I not remembering this race? Cup Series, I still got 1995 also. I've got 1995 and 2017 for the Cup Series. The late 90s trucks is going to be really tough. 2023, O'Reilly. It's not Cindric. Briscoe is already out of 2023. It's not Allgaier. I don't know who won that O'Reilly race. Gregson? Tyler Reddick? I don't. Was it like a C Bell one off? Like, it could be a cup guy. That's the thing. 2017 Snow. Like, I should know that, but I just Kenseth isn't on here. Obviously, he didn't win it that year either. I am stumping on this bad. 2017 Cup race. Chad have it yet? Almirola won the. I would not have guessed Almirola to win the O'Reilly race. I would have never came to that. Oh, Labonte, I think, won the. No, he didn't win in 95. Evan Harvick. I don't think of him as winning Sonoma with SHR. That's crazy. I don't remember that race that well. It was definitely a tire management race because that was an old Sonoma service at that point. It really was up until the repave here a couple years ago. I think they had the repave for 2024. And then they changed the circuit 2019. So like that 2017, 2018 race, that was like a tire management race. I remember Truex winning in 18 because he pitted 3 times versus everybody else pitting twice. And he made up that much extra time in the final stage because it stayed green long enough and he manages, well, I shouldn't say manage the tires as much as just they had the best tire strategy. Dale Earnhardt won at Sonoma in 1995. I did not know that. I did not know Dale Sr. won a cup race at Sonoma because I don't think of him as really winning on road courses. I know he has a win at Riverside. I did not know he had a win at Sonoma also. Boris Said won a truck race in 1998. It's just crazy to me because I wouldn't have thought Boris Said raced that long ago in NASCAR. So Boris Said won the truck race in 98 at Sonoma. I don't know why I didn't really think of trying to guess him other than the fact I wouldn't have thought that he would have raced in the truck series that long ago. Makes sense, obviously. He's a great road course racer. Joe Ruttman in 97 and Dave Resendez in 96. So that was tough. The truck series was tough. Late 90s trucks, not my specialty. 89%, average score 81%. We got a 39 and 44. So pretty solid all the way around. Job well done, chat. Job well done. Yeah, I wouldn't have thought Dale Earnhardt won the 95 Sonoma race. Honestly, I was stumping on that, and I did not know he even won at Sonoma. So I don't think I would have came to that. Not very often that I miss an Earnhardt on a NASCAR quiz, but here you have it. Sonoma race winners. We'll do our best. We'll probably do top 10s tomorrow. Let's listen into a little bit more of the practice session. Group 2 now on the racetrack for practice for the NASCAR side of things. Group 1 practice that wrapped up here, actually. Shane Van Gisbergen fastest in that group. William Byron second. Cole Custer third. Connor Zilch, the rookie, in fourth. And John Hunter Nemechek fifth. Christopher Bell in sixth place. Austin Dillon seventh. Todd Gillen eighth. Austin Cindric ninth. And Austin Hill rounds out the top 10 with Ty Dillon in 11th, Brad Keselowski 12th, Alex Bowman 13th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 14th, Josh Berry 15th, 16th for Noah Gragson, Eric Jones 17th, and 18th Cody Ware. That was Group 1. I'm going to refresh the page. You're going to see the lap times intertwined between Group 1 and Group 2, and that will get a gauge on everybody and their lap times so far. As we're just getting the second group underway, only a couple drivers have actually completed a lap in Group 2. So Shane Van Gisbergen, right now, still the fastest. Lap time to beat 76.035.
Correct. Staying on track. Give Hamlin credit. He knew his strength was going to be to run all the laps, stay out of the barriers, kept the 11 on track, and then it paid off with less points. It's actually misfortune. I mean, he got caught up in the crash at Michigan on the restart. You talk about the tire last week. In that span where Hamlin's made up all the ground, Reddick's been 6 foot better every week. It's just been Hamlin has been incredible at taking advantage of opportunities as we check in on the 45.
And Dale, when we heard from William Byron, you and I were talking about rear tires and grip, but he seemed about the track being dirty. But he really put it at the condition of the track. So we will see these timers finish their laps, how they kind of stack in on the left-hand side for overall pace. Yeah.
These cars are starting to complete their first laps on the racetrack. Ready to come to the alternate start finish line right here. See what this lap is. 19th. Oh no. Yeah. A little surprising. His gears had jumped up there. I saw the movement too. That was car behind him. Yeah.
Briscoe to second. Toyota's showing some muscle here early in Group 2. There's a 71 Michael McDowell.
Yeah, Briscoe's so good a year ago.
Yeah.
Well, he was right in the mix.
Well, seeing that car out front here, or running up front with SVG a year ago, it just reminded me of how strong they were with Mark Truex Jr. here. I mean, we know how good he was, and James Small leading the charge.
Michael's sitting outside the 16th in points, but he's only a few points behind the cutoff line, and so it's important to capitalize. You see the results in the road courses this year, and it's important for him to capitalize this weekend and try to save the season for this 71 team. His teammates are doing really well. Both Suarez and Hocevar are in the top 16 in points, aiming for the chase. He doesn't want to be left out. There's Briscoe.
He is really on his road racing craft, and as we talked about, really good here a season ago. Second right now on the board in practice, Marty. Yeah, Adam, I chatted with Chase before he hopped in the car, and he said, we were in our own league last year. Problem was, SVG was in a completely different league from us, so if we can finish top 5, that would be fantastic. Junior, he also said something very interesting. When we've had speed this year, we can't finish races. And when we don't have speed, we can finish races. You ever been through a stretch like that in your career where it just seems like the days you have speed, you can get a good finish, something happens to keep that from happening at the end of the day?
Yeah, I mean, those are the ones you're going to remember more often. The ones where you had the great car and it just didn't work out. But he and a lot of other drivers as well are showing us his second group. Racetrack's in a little bit better shape. You obviously see Blaney at the top of the board, Larson, Briscoe, Allmendinger. Track continues to improve today as they clean the track off. Byron said it was a little dusty. They're also putting a little bit of rubber down. A couple different series on this racetrack, different tires on this racetrack all day yesterday.
Saw the Blaney numbers. They've been really, really good on the road this year. Won a stage last week in San Diego after qualifying up inside the top 5.
There's Larson. It's down to 22 of Logano through the S's on the backside of the racetrack. Coming up the hill, this is the left-hander turn 1 up to turn 2.
Hello.
So about the end of that corner. Yeah. It's a little bit tight on the left side. And I don't know if there's possibly a little bit of a hole in the ground before the curve or whatever, but the car is very low to the ground as it is, and just have to be careful.
Same spot right here.
Right there is where he caught it.
Fine that time. So to your point, Dan, it must just be a big slide right there. Must just be a little bit of a dip where he got far enough to the left where he caught there's some rough blocks underneath it, chassis blocks, and they are connected directly to the chassis. When you hit them, it is rough.
I think it was 3A. You were doing your digital piece with SVG this week, and he caught a little curve up there, and then you referenced it. He's like, no, that was a mistake. I didn't mean to catch it there.
He kind of looked at me like, I appreciate you bringing that up.
Yeah, right. Sometimes the curves are friendly, sometimes they are not.
Yeah.
AJ Allmendinger, big weekend for him. Let's go to Shannon.
Yeah, Adam, I had a chance to talk to Ty Dillon, of course, AJ's college racing teammate. He said AJ is the North Star when we come to these road courses. He says he's really helped the entire team improve because of his communication, and he's really fast. CEO Chris Rice went even further. He said because we don't get a lot of sim time, we rely on AJ. He gives us the base. When we come to some of these tracks, we can race off of our notes. We can work on us. We don't have to play catch up. We can really show what we can do.
It's just really cool that he's coming here to his home racetrack and making his 500th career start in a Cup car.
Yeah, we make a lot about what Denny Hamlin's doing at 45 years old. I will tell you, I forget that AJ's 44. I get personally, he's the guy that doesn't age. He looks the same every single year. You have no glimpse of it behind the wheel of a race car. fitness not in question. Everything he gets in, he's fast. He's done so much of these road courses in all types of series over the course of his career.
You saw the points graphic there. He's been doing it on road courses all season long. One of a couple of drivers to finish top 10 in all three so far. How about this guy? Bubba Wallace, incredible last week.
Yeah, just 2311 showed up with very fast race cars, and Bubba took advantage of that opportunity. I mean, he surprised himself, I think, with the performance that he had. Had a little bit of an issue early in the race. I mean, he drove up field when the race began, but they had to come to pit road and had a little bit of an issue. The wheel would not get tight there under that pit stop, so it came off the race car. And he would be penalized a couple of laps because of this, Steve, but due to his patience and the speed of the race car, they were able to make all that ground back up and put himself into the top three.
Yeah, Dale, I think you could argue maybe one of the best drives of Bubba Wallace's career last week. You mentioned going 2 laps down, coming back and finishing second in San Diego, beating that speed here at Sonoma today. But an interesting thing is you kind of diagnose the laps here, Steve. We're seeing the fast lap for all these drivers, like Bubba Wallace, come pretty deep into their run. Lap 3 to lap 6, kind of where they see the quickest lap coming today here at Sonoma. Last week at San Diego, it was 1 lap and you were done. So because of that difference, how will that affect qualifying later today, Steve?
Well, it's interesting. I spoke to a lot of drivers, group qualifying, a lot of crew chiefs, and I think everyone's still going to kind of sit and wait. And for that reason, I still think it's going to be your first run, but I do believe there is tire life to make a second run if as a driver you make a mistake or maybe you hit traffic. A lot of things can happen. The one thing I'm noticing is that when I look at the top 19 in practice, only a couple of them came from Group 1. So the track is just continuing to get better. That tells me if you're in the second group of qualifying and even the last 5 minutes, it's going to be a lot of waiting for an absolute land rush of cars on track in the last 5 minutes of qualifying.
We saw that yesterday in O'Reilly. Cars are going back out and qualifying and running faster the second time on the racetrack. So maybe you miss a lap or make a mistake. You've got that opportunity, Steve, to retool and go back out and try to improve your position.
Yeah, this only being the third year of races being ran on this surface. It's not very old versus at Naval Base Coronado last week, and we saw a lot of tire fall off. You pretty much only had 1 lap to try to set as your fastest lap overall. Tyler Reddick comes in this weekend as the series points leader. He's got an 8-point lead over Denny Hamlin for the regular season championship. Ryan Blaney minus 133 and third, caught up quite a bit last week. He went into the week, I believe, minus 165. So he gains 32 points on Reddick, and Denny Hamlin gains 11 points on Reddick, with Tyler Reddick having that flat tire after battling for the win. Had Reddick won that race, he would have scored about 50 more points than he did. He lost 25 points just between the second and 26th place finish that he did end up getting in the last lap and a half. Had he won, that would have been an additional 15. That would have been a 40-point difference. He could be 48 ahead of Hamlin coming into the week. Instead, it's only 8. And now, because there was no stage points to show for either driver last week, it was basically just the 11 spots better in the finishing order for Hamlin, a 15th versus a 26th. For Reddick, Ryan Blaney, he won a stage, also had a good finish in the race as well. I think he had a top 10, so he was able to get some on that cut line. We'll see if Sonoma could be another good race for Ryan Blaney, because he is top of the charts right now in practice. He's been qualifying well on the road courses in recent years. At the very least, probably going to have a shot to go for stage points. As far as the standings outside of the top 3, Larson jumps up 2 spots. He is now 4th in points yet again. Still a very consistently strong year for Larson, despite no wins following a championship last year. Ty Gibbs rounds out the top 5 in points. He's a pretty solid road course racer and had a good run at Sonoma a year ago. Chase Elliott has not yet won at Sonoma, one of the few road courses he has not. He has 2 wins of the season, though, sits 6th in the points. Chris Buescher 7th, and the 2 Spires Chevy still in the top 10. Daniel Suarez 8th, Carson Hocevar 9th. Chase Briscoe rounds out the top 10. And you got Bubba Wallace at 11th. Christopher Bell dropped 2 spots last week to 12th, of course, still with that alien broken wrist. It's going to be interesting to see if he can get fast again by the end of the regular season, because there's been a lot of talk of how high up in the regular season standings can Bell finish. My question is he going to be able to make the chase, or is this injury going to kind of set him back the rest of the regular season as he tries to heal and race at the same time. William Byron sits 13th in points, only 1 point behind where Bell's at. Just a terrible season, really, for that 2014 compared to years past. Eric Jones has had a fantastic season. He has caught so much to the cut line, and it actually is a few spots above it, coming in 14th in points. So he is only 10 points above the cut, and SVG is the first driver out. We know he's going to at least have a fast car this weekend, and if he can put a full race together, maybe get a lot of stage points, get a race win, SVG should be back above the cut line if that were to happen. Austin Cindric, 15th in points. He is only 8 points to the good, and Ryan Preece, final driver above the cut line, 5 points above Shane Van Gisbergen. Joey Logano's minus 10, next driver behind SVG, 18th in points. Then you got Brad Keselowski, 19th, and he is only 23 points behind his teammate Preece for the final spot. AJ Allmendinger, good road course racer of his own, a top 5 at Naval Base Coronado last week. If he has another good run, he could be close. He's only 21 points below the cut line. It is so tight right now, with where 13th in points really is, with Eric Jones at minus 333, down to even Zane Smith minus 400. Those guys only have from 14th to 23rd in points. Obviously, the top 16 consistently make the chase. Only a 56-point difference between 14th and 23rd in the standings late in the regular season, with just 9 races to go entering this weekend. A lot could change this week. Atlanta coming up in a couple weeks is going to change a lot, I think, too, with that being an oval that is a drafting oval at that. Daytona at the end of the regular season could flip-flop some points, but really of the wild card races, we got a couple of them still to come, I think, with this week in Atlanta coming up soon. After that, I think it's going to be pretty straightforward, and the teams that we've seen having speed up to this point this year probably going to be the favorites to make the chase, and teams that are still searching for it, I think they're just starting to run out of time, quite honestly. So that is the point standings outlook. Full leaderboard in practice thus far. Ryan Blaney is first, over 10th faster than Kyle Larson for second. Tyler Reddick third. Bubba Wallace fourth. SVG, who's the fastest in Group 1, is fifth overall. Ty Gibbs in sixth. Ross Chastain seventh. Chase Briscoe eighth. AJ Allmendinger ninth. And William Byron rounds out the top 10. Chris Buescher in 11th, Joey Logano 12th, Michael McDowell 13th, Daniel Suarez 14th, and 15th, Ryan Preece. 16th is Carson Hocevar with Denny Hamlin 17th, Zane Smith 18th, Chase Elliott 19th, and Cole Custer in 20th. Connor Zilic in 21st, 22nd is John Hunter Nemechek, Christopher Bell 23rd, Austin Dillon 24th, and Todd Gillen 25th. Austin Cindric 26th, Austin Hill 27th, Ty Dillon 28th, Brad Keselowski 29th, and Alex Bowman 30th. With Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 31st, Riley Herbst 32nd, Josh Berry 33rd, Noah Gragson 34th, Eric Jones 35th, but he did have a crash in the session, and then Cody Ware 36th. So that is the overall leaderboard. Of the 18 cars in this group, by the way, 16 of them are in the top 18. The only 2 drivers from Group 1 who are in the top 18 are actually both in the top 10. SVG 5th overall, William Byron 10th overall. Those two showing some great speed so far this weekend. So although you don't see SVG at the top, kind of similar to last week, just going out in Group 1, faster racetrack in Group 2, getting to look at all the telemetry, a little extra rubber with the cup tires laid down on the track. So they're able to go for it a little bit more. Plus, that caution after a lap or two into practice with the Eric Jones spin probably hurt the ability to run a faster lap after lap 1 or 2 in that first session versus in the second group of cars that is out on the track right now. Time to beat for Ryan Blaney is 75.808. That's an average speed of 94.501 miles per hour. Blaney has ran 9 laps in the session so far. We're down to about 7.5 minutes to go in session 2.
Daniel Suarez talked about his positioning in the points. The 22, Joey Logano, some work to do the rest of the summer if he's going to make it into the chase.
Yeah, they're starting to see some of the speed maybe that they're looking for. 6-12 right now on the board.
Biggest thing to try, take Mark away into 7 and try to carry forward the turn 7 curve.
Yeah, just trying to get him to settle a little deeper there. this shot just puts the whole base in perspective from up high here.
The big loop down at turn 11, the run back to the start finish line in front of the grandstand, then climbing the hill from 1 to 2.
You kind of see right there entering turn 1 how dirty the track is offline, and catching up with Ross Chastain and the number 1.
Steve's been performing lately. Back-to-back top 10 shares.
That's right. When you have a teammate like Shane Van Gisbergen, what do? Well, you come over and you talk to him before you jump in the car for practice. That's exactly what Ross Chastain did. You know, they ask him a lot, Ross, how he's gotten better having a teammate like SVG. And he said, I'm the type of guy that just jumps in the car, I hit the gas, and I try to figure it out when I'm out there. Well, Shane, he's a lot more vocal. He knows exactly what he wants. He asks for it. He said that's really helped him when he's out on the racetrack, figuring out what he needs. He says as far as that right foot braking, he worked on it, but not ready to make a change just yet.
Got that 5-lap average in. Allmendinger the best there. Chastain second of that group when you start thinking about a little bit more of a longer run here at Sonoma.
Talk about the elevation here at Sonoma. Well, the downhills really compress the car, but we don't talk as much about the uphills and the peaks. And from 1 to 2 is really one of those spots. And right here where the truck's going through right now, it is a right-hander up the hill, and the whole car unloads. And look at this left front starts to skip and hop, and a big correction. The left rear is hopping and skipping as well. That's an area on restarts that will be contested, because if you can get to the left side, then you're kind of in position for the next corner. Those are the things as a crew chief that makes this place very difficult, is I have to put enough spring in the car to keep it off the ground in the compressions. But then when the car unloads, it still has enough weight on the tires where you can still drive it. Right there, at the crest of the hill.
Just in a broad slide. These are some fast corners coming up over the hill there, dude, through turn 9 and through this turn here, turn 10.
It makes qualifying fun, though, that all start finish line over there. You're just screaming down through there, sliding sideways, trying to finish the lap. Chase Elliott in the 9. Really good road racer. 7 wins, but has not done it in the next gen car. But we talked earlier about the game they played here last year and the run that they got on, and maybe if they stay green, they would have had a chance with some tires to upset the apple cart, come back, and get Shane Van Gisbergen. What about it, Danielle?
Chase Elliott is back on track now, Adam. He wanted to be tightened up, told his crew chief, Alan Gustafson, I wish my left side tires were as good as my right. Speaking of his crew chief, I talked to Alan this morning. He reminded me that he has 0 wins at this racetrack in 21 years as a Cup crew chief. He said, I want this one more than any other track I've never won at. I said, does Chase know that? He said, oh yeah, he knows. I want that wine goblet trophy. This track is one that I love on the circuit. Been coming here a long time. Guys, it's hard to believe with this career that he's had, amassed, Alan, a Cup level championship winning crew chief, that he's yet to win in wine country.
Well, Chase has got
A lot of great drivers over the years.
the last 5 races here.
Chase Elliott, I was gonna say all former champions, but Mark Martin didn't
One thing to see.
all won a lot of races.
Strategy always provides you opportunity. I was talking to Shane Van Gisbergen about this. He says you're always vulnerable due to the stages and strategy and when cautions might come out. And Alan called some pretty incredible races, and he's gained a lot of confidence this year. And made some really, really great calls. There's sort of in victory lane, Steve, and you gotta feel like that. You can carry that momentum and that confidence into this race and maybe pull 2 straights to make some things happen.
Yeah, we see Priester on track. That's what I was going to mention, Bill. I think those 2 early wins for this 9 team has taken the pressure off. Normally they come in here and look for their first win. They always win races, but it seems to be the second half of the year. Even those 2 early wins, I think, has taken the pressure off. 60 of Priest, another driver. We're going to continue to talk about the Chase standings, right? He's the guy just barely in. 5 above SVG.
They got a stage win last week, and when you start talking about strategy, they're making all these races. It's the land of opportunity. It really depends on where you are, what game you're trying to play, as to how you go through your strategy.
Mr. Excitement here, the Hurricane, Carson Hocevar. Great qualifying front row. Had a little contact with Heim in the chicane in the later laps. We got to revisit their entire racing portfolio together on social media over the last 5 days. Social media for NASCAR this week has been one for the ages, man. It's been hard to keep up with all the stories and all the conversations and back and forth. We're going to see contact tomorrow. And there's going to be an interview, and they're going to reference San Diego, and none of us will have any idea what they're talking. So many people hit each other last week at the street race. You need a whiteboard to keep up with the disputes.
I will say, though, Hocevar was on the wrong side of it here last year because they had a solid top 10 going. And I think it was top of the hill, turn 2, where he went for a ride, didn't get the finish he probably deserved. Didn't win a pole here in Truck Series competition. Let's go back to last week.
He won that with a broken
Celebrate
ankle.
everything that the race was. 8th place Coronado. Huge win for Corey Heim in his 13th career start.
Yeah, Corey just popped him right there in the middle of the chicane, and doesn't take much to send these next gen cars around for a spin. And Hocevar said, "Hey man, I've had that coming. I'm all right with it. You know, I knew that was coming at some point. I was 16 of AJ Allmendinger, like coming out of turn 2 there, maybe up the hill. We've seen so many cars that's sideways. Oh man, I agree. Every car that I've watched go through turn 1 and 2 today has looked happy. Doesn't look comfortable. That's where we saw 43 of Eric Jones get a little out of shape earlier today, and he's sliding the back of the car into the corner, and it just kind of comes around. And every car that I've watched come through that part of the racetrack looks very, very uncomfortable. The back moving around, a lot of lack of grip. So I think we've seen some of the track improve, Steve. Some of the grip in the track improve in some areas. That turn 2 is going to be a challenging spot tomorrow.
Well, turn 1, the left-hander, there's a little bit of rubber kind of get pushed in because there's that squish of the car going up the hill. And then about halfway up the hill, it seems like that tracking of rubber goes away. Like they're just not. Let's see, right here it gets really light. Need the car on the asphalt. Even need tire tracks like it's no man's land. It looks kind of long.
That's where, to me, lane selection is big on restarts tomorrow. You want, drivers right, drivers left, because you want the inside of turn 1, inside of turn 2, and how do you manage the top of the hill? Always something fun to talk about here. What's going on, Shannon?
Yeah, finally caught up with AJ Allmendinger. The entire practice, he has not been happy with this car. It's actually been very different on both ends. The front and the rear not on the same page. Said he can't lean on it. It's loose, terrible in 2, can't pull any speed. But hey, the front end's good. So, hey, glass half full, right?
All right. Get it all put back together. Go out, qualify up front, and put yourself in position for another 10 on the road. The best in stock car racing are in Sonoma, California. Practice is done for the Cup Series. Qualifying all the way on True TV.
All right. Qualifying coming your way shortly. Commercial break, full screen as we have wrapped up practice. We'll go through that leaderboard yet again here. Ryan Blaney fastest in practice today, just over a tenth faster than Kyle Larson's best lap. Kyle Larson second, Tyler Reddick third, Bubba Wallace fourth, and Shane Van Gisbergen, who was fastest in Group 1, is fifth and probably still the favorite for the pole and win this weekend. Ty Gibson sixth, Ross Chastain is seventh in practice with Chase Briscoe eighth, AJ Allmendinger ninth, who went for a spin on his final lap in turn 2, and William Byron 10th fastest. He was second quickest in Group 2 behind SVG. Chris Buescher 11th, Joey Logano 12th, Michael McDowell 13th, Daniel Suarez 14th, and Ryan Preece 15th. 16th for Carson Hocevar, Denny Hamlin 17th, Zane Smith 18th, Chase Elliott 19th, Cole Custer 20th, Connor Zilch 21st, John Hunter Nemechek 22nd, Christopher Bell 23rd, Austin Dillon 24th, Todd Gilliland 25th, Austin Cindric 26th, Austin Hill 27th, 28th for Ty Dillon, Brad Keselowski 29th, and Alex Bowman 30th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 31st, Riley Herbst 32nd, Josh Berry 33rd, Noah Gragson 34th, Eric Jones 35th, and Cody Ware rounds out the 36-car field. No open entries this weekend, so it's actually kind of funny. Last week's winner, Corey Heim, not even in the field this weekend on his part-time schedule. We'll see him back in a few weeks. As far as practice being rounded up and the rules for qualifying, it will be group qualifying. I believe, 15 minutes on the clock per group, and you have the full length of time to run all of the laps that you want. And as long as you cross the alternate start finish line right before the entrance of pit road, you can run up to the clock hitting zeros, but you cannot start another lap. Once the clock hits zeros, you can only finish the lap you're on. The 18 drivers in Group 1, just a refresher here, that we will see on track will be Connor Zilic, Noah Gregson, Austin Hill, Cole Custer, Shane Van Gisbergen, Ty Dillon, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Christopher Bell, Josh Berry, Brad Keselowski, Alex Bowman, Cody Ware, William Byron, Austin Dillon, Todd Gillen, Austin Cindric, Jonathan Nemechek, Eric Jones. And Jones might not participate. We'll have to wait and see. He did run more laps after he had backed it into the wall at turn 10, so he may still qualify. But practice-wise, knowing he was able to make some extra laps, he's just going to have a little bit of scuff marks right around that right front, right rear corners of his race car. We'll take another break while we're waiting here. Practice over, qualifying set to begin shortly. NASCAR cleaning the track in between practice and qualifying, and get the Group 1 cars out there shortly.
Later today, coverage starts 4:30 Eastern Time on CW for the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. And tomorrow, 2:30 Eastern Time is when we get things going on TNT. It's NASCAR Nation presented by Nereus. What a great day here. Golden Gate Bridge, Sonoma, California, about an hour north of San Francisco. Ready to go racing this weekend. Here's Danielle.
Well, Adam, two-time Sonoma winner Kyle Larson was P2 on the board for that practice session. He was also fastest in 10-lap average. He just told Jeff Gordon, it feels like ice out there. Cliff Daniels wanted to give you something drivable, Kyle. Did you feel throughout the course of that entire run?
Well, the first few laps, I mean, you're trying to go what you guessed that the grip limit might be, and it was really easy to slip through everything. So I would say once I actually dialed back a little bit, I could be somewhat okay for a little while. But yeah, it's really easy to kind of slip through the rears, up the hill through one, then back through two. If you ask a little bit too much out of it through the three and all that section, it's slick. And then the rest of the track, I feel okay. The S's is close to kind of the limit, but yeah, it's got speed, I guess. I didn't feel like the most comfortable, but yeah, if it's got speed, it's got speed. So try to just qualify well here and get a good starting spot. It's last year it didn't go well for us, so looking to have a better weekend, and we're off to a good start so far.
Kyle Larson, right now, happy with the car, Marty.
Ryan Blaney, fastest in that practice session. Danielle, #1 on the charts. And the short run speed has shown up once again, just like he had at San Diego last week. How was the long run speed in the 12 car?
Yeah, I'd say that's anywhere we got to work on is kind of getting it to live a little bit more. Yeah, I was happy with the fire off pace. Just got to keep tires on a little bit longer. So I think that's work on the car a little bit. I can work on stuff, try to help them live. But it's fun out there. Slick track. You know, everything's like racing, right? It's just how do you manage it. But no, Dutch Boy, Menards, Ford Mustangs got good speed. Hopefully we can put a good lap together in qualifying, and then we'll figure out the race tomorrow and changes we need and how I can change it up a little bit. But overall, good start today.
Shannon, he locked down a top 3 spot at San Diego last week. Trying to do it again here at Sonoma today.
Marty, AJ Allmendinger, if you were looking for that edge, you found it. How much were you on the edge the entire practice?
Yeah, she's got a little edge to her right now. But the Echo Park Automotive car is fast. It's dirty now, so we might have to drop it off at a dealership really quick and get it cleaned back up before qualifying. But no, overall, good thing is we got speed in it. Definitely some areas where she's a little bit hard to drive, so we got to kind of make it a little bit more comfortable. But like I said, at least in certain sections, for as bad as it felt, I was happy to see what times we were running. So I'll go do some studying and see if we can put a flyer in for qualifying.
Good luck in qualifying. Congratulations on 500. Adam?
I just love those sunglasses. What a way to celebrate 500. Very California. The driver from right here in Northern California. Group 1 qualifying next.
All right. Still got some safety equipment out on the racetrack, just sweeping away and some of that excess sand dust that has been kicked up from outside of the racing line so that there is a clean racetrack for when qualifying begins. And the same thing will happen, I believe, in between the two groups. So last week at Coronado, because you could really only run like one fast lap, a lot of drivers were waiting to the end of their 15 minutes to run. I don't think that's going to be the case this week. I think we're going to see some laps ran at the beginning and the end and maybe a lull period in the middle as far as drivers on track of the 18 in each group. So we have that to look forward to. And is Shane Van Gisbergen going to be able to get the pole for 2 consecutive weeks? We shall wait and see. Again, Ryan Blaney fastest in practice. Blaney qualified second last weekend. Had a good run at the pole until the finishing couple corners out of the 16 at Naval Base Coronado. 11-turn road course here in Sonoma. Right around a 2-mile road course layout. Shortest road course on the NASCAR schedule. The 4 road races ran in 2026. Making for a 110-lap race. It'll be a much shorter race than last weekend. Sonoma's kind of a weird track in NASCAR in recent years. It either has very little cautions or we have an extreme amount of them. And honestly, because of the carnage last weekend and the chaos that was the street race in San Diego, I don't think we're going to see as many yellows this weekend. That's just my prediction. I think having the back-to-back road courses on the schedule too, these drivers are very talented and they do take the things very quickly. You get them on road courses 2 consecutive weeks in a row. Not a lot of travel considering a lot of these teams stayed out west this week. So, yeah, I do think that it's going to be a relatively clean race. Probably something Shane Van Gisbergen wants to see after last weekend with the early exit and DNF. When he has finished a street race, he has won them all. 2 of the 4. The 2 he didn't win, he was crashed out of in stage 2 of both of them. Incidents that weren't of his own cause. Green flag has been displayed, and the time is on the clock and starting to tick down. And as you see towards the top of the leaderboard, there will be an elapsed timeline, and you can see just when the session is going to end. Now, for qualifying on the raw feed that you see with our leaderboard, when we get into Group 2, the lap times are not going to intertwine. You're only going to see the top go-getters for Group 1 and Group 2 separately. So I'll keep you updated on the lap time to beat so you can follow that when we do get into the second group a little bit later on based off who had the fast time in Group 1.
One-shot deal, or you have a 2 shots at it? I think cars rolling at all tells me that these teams feel that they can get a couple laps on tires. And it's a completely different racetrack, Steve, than this first group saw earlier this morning. A lot cleaner, a lot more speed in the racetrack. And last year it was SVG at a 74.59 was the pole, so a 114.5. All-start finish line right here. This is kind of cresting the hill, coming down the S's between, I guess that's after 8, 4, 9.
Just over there in the S's, right?
Top 7, body. Oh, yeah, right here we go. Just give me a reason to draw, I dare you. Right here.
If we can go from 4 to 7 and get away with it, then Steve and I could just say over in the
Totally. If I hear a driver reference turn 8, I'll change my mind. Then if I ask the driver, they go 5. I don't know. Turn 8.
Love when social media gets drivers to draw the layout of the track. That always entertains me.
So only one shot through turn 11, right? You take the green before you get here. This is at speed now. Laps already started. Now remember, it's group 1. You go run 10 laps if you want. We just don't think that would be the fastest track. You set up for one. If it doesn't work, you probably come in, clear the tires, and go run again. Remember, Jones had those issues in practice earlier.
Amazing in San Diego, but they survived and stayed above the chase cut line. Saw best run of the year coming a few weeks ago at Michigan. The run from 4 to 7, and the right-hander to chase through the S's and back down to that alt-start finish line.
Now just a few corners to complete the lap. He'll hear it done.
He won with the lap he put down. Stenhouse second behind him. There you see the 47. Opening round matchup, in-season challenge for Ricky with William Byron. Go toe-to-toe here tomorrow. You get the feeling Ricky advances, he can become a threat, right? I mean, you go to Chicago, place where he can hustle it. Then in the draft a couple of weeks from now at Echo Park Speedway in Atlanta, where you know he'll be good.
And his left right here for Jones and Stenhouse, not really good. Hoping to gain a ton of speed. Oh, look at the little lockup in the right front there. You're hoping to gain multiple tenths, if not a full second, over what they've laid down on the racetrack in that first lap. We saw that Marty Snyderpool pointed out that it took cars a while to be able to get to their optimum lap, maybe laps 3, 4, 5, or even 6 on some cars in practice. So that first lap on the track, not all that great. But there you see it, Stenhouse improved to 117. That would have been about 28th in practice. Jones up to a 116.9.
For lap 2 in his run there, but he stays third on
His first lap was super, super slow. So I don't know if he pushed real hard. He had a bit of an issue, but not going to be happy with that 17.5. But now it'll be a waiting game. These teams know exactly how long it takes them to leave pit road and get over to the alt start finish line. Just a reminder, you don't have to finish your lap. So if you take the green with time left on the clock as it goes down around 15 minutes, that lap will start. So off the race car right there. Yeah, it looked like I don't think it's a hose or something.
in practice. Good road racer, but driving with an injury. Fractured that left wrist in the crash that Marty talked about earlier at Michigan. Really?
I know turning both directions can be uncomfortable. I'm more concerned. This is like the Martinsville of road courses, in my mind. There's no way you're going to run today on these restarts and not have contact tomorrow. Too wide up the hill, down the hill. It's kind of a contact situation. So you see the cast on the left wrist. Second faster than Jones. One bad into that as he completes this lap. He's roughly halfway through the lap here.
Lost a little up the hill. Overall, though, produced a solid lap here.
Really good through turn 3A, B there. Down into turn 4, very important braking zone. Now 7. What's a passing zone in the race? But for here, I think it's all to kind of get set up correctly for the S's. You don't want to get behind at the top of the S's and just continue to chase it.
Money in the bank, coming back to the alt start finish line.
And really good right there. A couple more tenths. Downhill.
New leader in qualifying, Christopher Bell, 1:15.81.
Exact last time Blaney ran.
Good run by Bell.
The 7. In front of Nemechek.
Like he's going to push to run a second lap here. Third.
Talk about the emergence of speed, front row motorsports. Gregson trying to find a little bit of capitalize on opportunity.
It's improved. It's only 0.3 off this lap by Bell. And to give you an idea, his lap is about a second and a half off Bell. So he lost a couple tenths there. I know there's a lot of laps to still go, but he's big improvement over his first and second lap. Let's see if he can keep the momentum.
So down the hill. When Noah Gregson was 4th on the board. And this lap will take him a second. 60 for the driver from Las Vegas, Nevada. There's Austin Hill in the 33. Impressive last weekend in San Diego, winning the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race. His first victory on a road course at that level.
Gregson picked up almost a half a second from his first lap.
On the restart that created this massive crash for a lot of the leaders up front. And he wants to come here, you know, kind of redeem himself a little bit. Take a look back at Saturday's win, the O'Reilly Series.
Little bump and run there, Dale, with Taylor Gray.
He did. He's an aggressive driver. Austin Hill is up a little bit to make things happen. And you got to do that sometimes to win races. And there's a celebration in Victory Lane with Richard Childress, car owner.
First win for RCR since Kyle Busch passed away. It's a neat tribute for everyone. A lot of emotion in that Victory Lane for Austin, Richard, and everyone involved. Halfway through, Group 1 qualifying. Bell has set the fastest lap with some really good ones still to come here in Group 1.
If Austin can keep this up, he's going to be able to take over the second spot. There's a lot about data. The 51, he was just chasing the 33 around. I like that. Here's the 88 of Silich.
Mention the fact he led laps for the first time in his Cup career last week in San Diego. Did that after qualifying inside the top 10.
This lap result should be a little bit, maybe it's going to take a couple laps on the tires, or maybe the 3 in front of him is upping his effort. It's very close to the 3. That will definitely hurt a lap time.
Austin Hill went to second. Silich now jumps P2.
But if you look at Dylan's time at 4 seconds off on that last lap, I think there was a gap, and Dylan had an issue, and the 88 closed into his rear bumper. I think his goal was to be that close to Dylan. I think Dylan had an issue because his lap is a minute 20, right? So they probably had a 4 or 5 second gap that got erased at some point. Dylan's going to try it again. I saw Zilich had run the 3 down. Let's see what the driver of the 88 has to say.
Make it second lap, 3. Come through. I'll just come in and cool it down. We can do it.
You're hearing wanted to make a second lap before he backed up to him. That's that 4-second gap. I was telling you, kind of went the other way. He's thinking his luck hasn't got anybody. He can't even get a clean lap. Only 4 cars on the racetrack.
Well, the 3, might have thought, I'm going to go out here and roll around on lap 1 and just get the tires worked in. And my second lap will be the lap I put in the effort. And he went hard on lap 1 and runs him down. Not able to be able to run the second lap he wanted to run. I'm going to slot in there at 8th spot.
How about Ty Dillon up there in 6th?
Yeah, and Austin and Ty, the 2 brothers, they got some heavyweights in the first round of the in-season challenge, right? Ty has Hamlin, Austin Dillon has Ty Gibbs.
Tell you what, though, Ty's not backing down. The upset last year made it all the way to the final at Indy against Ty Gibbs, and I heard him talking this week. He said, hey, this isn't always his best, right, running on the road, so I'm going to go out and try to take care of business again.
And they've thrown the red flag for some debris on the racetrack.
We thought we saw something come off the 20 car. I couldn't tell if it was a little piece of brake hose or what it was.
Do you think Zilich and them guys cool it down and go back out? I mean,
I think so, absolutely. I think they make another run at it.
Yeah. That's up there. That's what I think we saw come off the 20 car.
Too.
Oh, we're hearing they think it might be a rear brake light. These teams are required to have wet weather equipment on their car here out in Sonoma.
Well, it's been laying there a while.
It has.
Yeah.
But I think in NASCAR, what they may have done is stop cars at the end of pit road, let everybody finish their lap, not thinking anybody's in danger. And you don't want to hit that thing, but if a crew chief, I would lose my mind if they threw the yellow for that. And that was my hot lap of my tires.
What's up, Danielle?
Adam, we're hearing Brad Keselowski's plan is to wait as long as he can stand it and then run 2 laps. William Byron saying we're going to go out with about 4.5 minutes left. Stevie, can you explain the waiting game here? What is the advantage to going out late?
The track just continues to pick up speed. It sounds crazy. You wouldn't think it would matter as we just sit here. The ambient temperature barely changes. It's a beautiful day, but there's this crazy phenomenon. The more cars run on it, the cleaner it gets, the faster it gets. The concern or the risk is what happens if somebody goes off track in front of you? You have traffic, you have gravel, something gets into the tires where NASCAR has to throw an immediate yellow. That'd be it. If the timing works out right, we saw way back at Road America years ago where half the field didn't even get a lap because there was a couple of yellows at the wrong time. So there is a risk to it, but a reward if you get it and you get it timed correctly.
Shannon?
Hey, Adam, to follow up on Ty Dillon and his battle with Denny Hamlin in this in-season challenge, you are right. Ty Dillon has a lot of confidence. He told me earlier this week, he said 90% of the week's the 11 car. He's not concerned with Ty Dillon. He's a Hall of Fame driver, but he told me, I know that I can compete with him. A lot of that confidence, he said, comes from the San Diego run. He said Denny Hamlin was one of the cars that he passed in stage 1. He said when that 11 does things right, it is hard to pass him. It is hard to race him. But if he makes one mistake, I'm going to capitalize and I will not give it back. He said all it takes is one position.
It's funny, Why not?
A couple of cars on the racetrack right now putting laps down that I'm pretty excited about. This car right here, the 97 of James Van Gisbergen coming to begin his lap. Also, Cole Custer, who had good speed, is in front of Shane, making his lap in the 41 Chevrolet. It sounds like Shane's just going to take it easy on this first lap, get some heat in the tires. Not going to really run too hard, not worried about putting a great lap down, just trying to get the tires worked in and thinking that might give him an advantage when he starts the second lap. Tires might be a little bit better for him when he starts asking them to do certain things. Here's the 41. Now, Cole Custer is on a different approach. He's going hard on the first lap. Looks like he missed the apex a little bit on both 3, A and B, and approached the heel. Cost him a little bit of time. He was trending really, really well to Christopher Bell. A little lock up on the right front. Not too big a deal. Getting everything he can.
Gotta get off turn 7.
Doing a great job here.
Yeah,
Leaping there.
Wow. We're just flirting with the green. Comes down through the S's. Everybody chasing Christopher Bell.
Solid lap for Cole Custer right there. He took for the 41. 1:15.92. SVG now coming down the hill. He's going to start putting the effort in and begin his qualifying run.
I remind you of this, Shane Van Gisbergen is undefeated when it comes to qualifying at Sonoma. 3 races in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, 3 poles. He'll lead them the green later today and won the pole for the Cup race here a year ago and flashing a lot of green here through turn 11.
Rest of the hill, you see just out of sight. Couple slower cars. There they are on the left side of your screen. I don't know if he's going to catch them going down the S's or not. SVG tracking way ahead of Bell at the moment.
Money in the bank, off of 7, down through the S's. 7/10 in his pocket and gaining on it.
Gaining time in spots that you didn't really think there was time to gain, where the 20 looks so good. Yeah, that'll work.
Surprise, surprise. Shane Van Gisbergen, he won in qualifying, 1:14.91.
4/10 off of last year's pole speed.
I was going to say, I think Ryan Blaney was right around there in practice.
That type of lap time will hold up.
Maybe.
Iron and moment. We saw this.
I think he might have had a faster
at
one.
San Diego. The Hendrick cars go out nose to tail. I talked to Chad Canals about it. He said it's fired because we had them all lined up, and one driver made a mistake, and we all missed the chicane because of it. So then they didn't have fresh tires, and it was just a complete mess up. But they're sticking with the theory here. The tires are lasting a little bit longer, and I don't hate this, Dale. Would you prefer to be kind of the guy being chased, or do you think it's better for your rhythm chasing someone? I think it's easier to have a rabbit in front of you, right? To gauge off of braking zones, but you need to trust that person. You need to trust that. I mean, we see that all the time. Drivers will try to follow SVG out in practice, or you might, if you were racing against Mark Martin back in the day, you want to follow him out for a lap in Charlotte, just to get the lift points, braking zones, all those things. See what they're doing and try to match it.
Pretty good laps here, 3rd and 5th for Byron and Bowman.
But don't throw away Josh Berry's 6 quick right there. That's a great lap for the driver, the 21. Bell's back on the track as well. Well, Byron continues. You see him right there, tracking only a 10th off. So William Byron thinks there's more out there. This is the advantage of SVG already putting that target out there, because you don't know what you thought was a great lap until SVG's kind of giving you that goal.
Todd Gilliland jumps into the top 10, 7th on the board. Watching Bell down there flashing green.
How about that?
Byron once.
That one is a win. A lot of cars out there going faster. Eric Jones bumps up to 10th. When SVG ran a slow lap, the coolest stuff, so he's on a flyer again. So SVG's trying to improve. Oh, the 20 off the racetrack. Off of the turn 3, just fine.
30 in the track.
He was just trying to he was just trying to get a little bit too much down into turn 3. And look at here. Zilich. 88 on the racetrack in the green.
Curious to see what he can do. Chasing his teammate.
He's got a ways to go through his lap. He's about halfway through right here, but looks like a much, much better lap than what he's got on the board right now. Yeah, currently 13. So he's looking for big improvements, even if it's not pole speed. Somewhere up in the top 2 or 3 would make his day much easier to start tomorrow.
He's looking for top 2 right now.
It's his way too, right? I mean, you don't want to do anything.
They're close to 1 second.
When you think of where they've been, wears off track in a 51.
Now you see if the yellow comes out, that would end these laps. NASCAR's going to try to hold it, handle this with a local caution. Remember, they have those options. They just throw a waving blue flag, which doesn't affect anybody's time, just lets you as a driver know there's an issue up ahead. Zilich lost a lot of time
He did, Dale.
over the last couple of corners. Really surprised by that. He was only a 10th off coming into the final turn or two of that lap at the all-star finish line and lost 3 or 4 tenths.
SVG trending green on his own lap. Zilich as well trying to make one more lap. Time's expired.
Oh!
What just happened?
Man,
All right.
that's a part of the racetrack where we've seen the 20 get off, the 51 spun over there as well.
Well, with NASCAR, we see the timing for Zilich. The 88's green. He did start this lap, so this lap will count. And it's the chunk here in the S's last time. Seems to be doing it again.
Yeah.
Like fifth.
Did it again. So that's, I mean, the car looks normal, but for some reason through those 3 corners, he's 3 tenths.
All right.
Yeah. But he's matches relatively well the entire rest of the racetrack. And the S's are some of the most challenging corners on this racetrack because you have to have the car change directions really well to be able to get through there quickly. If you're waiting on the car to go back the other direction,
The clock hit 0, and I felt like business picked up from a highlight perspective. SVG going out for a little insurance run, already P1. That's the second flying 360 we've seen today.
Crazy thing is he could spin and qualify and still get the pole. Had the top time already. Didn't damage it. That's crucial.
he stands in the throttle so he doesn't slide off the racetrack and does a good job. This is a 20 of Christopher Bell down the hill. Just gets loose on the entrance to turn 3.
These are odd places. I'm not saying this is an easy corner, but for the last 20 years of coming out here, where you see cars lose grip, I don't remember this kind of climbing turn 1 or down into 3. This rear grip is definitely being taxed.
Group 1 qualifying complete. And when Group 2 hits the track, everyone will be chasing Shane Van Gisbergen, who puts down a lap. 1:14.91. He's in front of Austin Hill, William Byron, Christopher Bell, and Connor Zilich. Stay with us.
74.914 will be the lap time to beat for Shane Van Gisbergen, an average lap speed of 95.632 miles per hour. He ran a handful of laps in qualifying to get that top time. On his final lap, he actually went for a spin in turn 3, but he is still the leader, and he's got about 2 tenths over Austin Hill, who was second in that group. William Byron currently third in qualifying. Christopher Bell in fourth, pretty solid with the broken wrist. Laid down a great lap on his first lap, and he wasn't able to top that after the fact. Connor Zilich in fifth, was hoping for a little higher for him. John Nemechek in sixth, Alex Bowman seventh, Austin Cindric eighth, Cole Custer ninth, Josh Berry rounds out the top 10. With Todd Gilliland 11th, Austin Dillon 12th, Ty Dillon 13th, Eric Jones 14th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 15th, Noah Gregson 16th, Brad Keselowski 17th, 18th for Cody Ware. That rounds out the 18 cars for Group 1 of qualifying. Our second group will be coming up here shortly, and a refresher to the 18 drivers in Group 2. That will be Joey Logano, Tyler Reddick, Carson Hocevar, Chase Briscoe, Michael McDowell, Riley Herbst, Ty Gibbs, Ryan Preece, Ross Chastain, Daniel Suarez, Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, Zane Smith, EJ Allmendinger, Ryan Blaney, Chris Buescher, Bubba Wallace, and Kyle Larson. Ryan Blaney fastest in practice, and he is in this group. Larson was second quickest. We'll see what will happen. Practice coverage already concluded. Qualifying halfway done. You're listening live on KRC. Full flag-to-flag coverage of the action today and the O'Reilly race later today, all on the channel.
Group 2 qualifying. Let's see, racing this weekend, Northern California. Toyota Mart 350 from Sonoma. An hour's drive from San Francisco. Let's go down to Danielle.
William Byron, third overall in that qualifying session. His crew chief said Rudy Fugel mentioned that hopefully we are in the top 10 and then can go to work because we have a really fast car. Byron said the grip was good both laps, but I locked him up at one point. Need to do a little better job. Sorry. And Rudy said, all good. We have a really good car. I'm hearing a lot of optimism out of this 24 group.
Couple of wins on the road for William Byron in his career. He's talking down there to Jeff Gordon. I think if I wanted knowledge on this place, that might be a good one to go to. 5 wins for Gordon here, the most all time.
He's the king of understanding just how much this place can jump out and grab you. These 3 quarters around here, he did a great job of keeping it on the track. It's better than everyone else. Here are the standings.
Yeah, you look at the standings right there. Denny obviously closing the gap on Tyler Reddick. Ryan Blaney just trying to hang on to third going into the chase. And then you got a nice little battle between Ty Gibb, Chase Elliott, Larson, and all those guys trying to get into that top 6 or top 5 to really increase their opportunities to try to win the championship.
Yeah, and on the right side, making the chase is a big deal, both for partners and for just building a race team. You want to be considered in that conversation of a chase team. So you have Cindric, Priest, SVG, Logano, if you can believe it, Brad K, Allmendinger. That battle's going to continue all summer.
I look at 14th and 19th, separated just roughly 20 points. It's just remarkable how bad it is. Shannon?
Yeah, down here with Connor Zillage, just debriefing with Ross Chastain. 5th place right now. Did you get everything out of the car that you wanted to get out of it?
Definitely not. No, I was on a really good lap until the last section. The S's hit a curb wrong and cost myself a good lap. So definitely frustrated with myself. I feel like I never qualify good at these races that I should be qualifying better at. Definitely a little frustrated, but I feel like our WeatherTech Chevrolet is fast and we'll have some speed tomorrow. So hopefully too many guys in Group 2 don't go too fast and we can have a decent start spot.
First Cup start here at Sonoma, but of course we know that you drank that apple juice in Victory Lane 1 year ago in the O'Reilly Series. Are there any similarities, things that can help you out on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, track time is track time. I've been able to race here quite a few times, even before racing in NASCAR. So, I've always enjoyed coming here. It's a very beautiful part of the country. So, hopefully we can be drinking some more apple juice this weekend.
Thank you, Connor. Adam?
When you have teenagers that can win at this place, you have to have the apple juice on standby.
Yeah. Well, he would love nothing more than to pull off a win after it's been a tough year so far. And these road courses are where he has kind of burst onto the scene as, a very talented road course racer. Although he's run a lot of oval stuff, short track racing and so forth, and he's very talented across the board. I think the road courses is where he wants to shine, and I don't think he expected Shane Van Gisbergen to be coming into the sport around the same time, right? And racing for the same team. I think they'll elevate each other, and this young man might not realize it, but he's learning a ton racing side by side with Shane and going through this difficult year in his rookie year.
We talk about the road course races back to back, racing in San Diego and last week, Sonoma this weekend. This is the final road course race of the year. But if you look at the 5 races we have on TNT between now and late July, these 5 venues have absolutely nothing in common.
Yeah, road course here in Sonoma, then we go back to Chicagoland, a very bumpy, worn-out 1.5 mile. Echo Park Speedway, it says 1.5 miles, but it is a super speedway. It drafts like one, a lot of drafting around that place. And then back to the short track, North Wilkesboro, 5/8 mile with kind of an uphill and a downhill in the straightaways, and then to the famous Indianapolis Motor Speedway to cap it all off. Someone will walk away $1 million richer.
Everybody's excited that we're going back to Chicagoland and put on some incredible races. Multi-groove racetrack, to your point, Steve, very worn out. It's going to be tough on tires. We're going to see cars moving all over the racetrack there. And SVG said he's looking forward to Atlanta. He says he really enjoys the style of racing we do there. It's probably the hottest ticket on the circuit right now because of the racing and how exciting that can be. And obviously, Wilkesboro getting that points race. It's come back. It's rebirth. Should be documented. It's studied. It's pretty incredible what the track is even back on the schedule.
The window, just because when you go to 1.5 miles, you expect this big acceleration, and then you get to the corner and you lift off the gas and slow down, and it's just this constant speed.
it doesn't look real for the first 2 laps. Second group starting to pull out on the racetrack to go ahead and get their tires worked in. Some, as we saw in the first group, may go right off onto the racetrack and start pushing hard and putting effort into that first lap. SVG, a few other cars ran about a lap and a half at half speed before they actually went after it.
You know, we gave love to 2311 earlier during practice in the 1-2 finish with Corey Heim and Bubba Wallace at San Diego. Also going to celebrate Riley Hurst, who matched his career best, was top 10 last week and just missed out on a top 5, was running up there and in position late in the race.
Through turn 10. Hammering the braking zone right there down into 11. A little bit of a lockup on the inside. Right front tire. Denny, on the other hand, is about a second and a half, 2 seconds off. He's decided to maybe take it easy this lap and see if he can't prep these tires a little bit for following laps on the racetrack.
Turn 4 to turn 7 for Bubba Wallace.
Big chunk of that inside curve looked like it upset the car a little bit. Clean of the curve here. In the race, you'll use those curves to try to help the car turn, but I'll find out. I kind of want to get a little bit clean on it.
Second place run last week, got Bubba up to 11th in the chase standings. Good starting spot this weekend. Position for a little more. He's 9th on his first lap of the afternoon.
The Ruby Jones. He just pushed a little bit too hard, got wide off a 10, dropped the left rear tire off, overcorrected into the outside wall. Oh, man.
Big hit for Bubba
Just
Wallace.
pushing, just starting that second lap, trying to improve on the lap he just ran. So you go into the corner a little bit harder, try a little bit more. And you don't have any room for mistakes. As you see, just drop the left rear tire off and away the car goes.
That's heavy damage.
Years ago, I would have just guaranteed that to be a backup car. We saw the fixer car very similar to this at Pocono a few weeks ago. So we'll wait and see what the team does.
Just think about the give and take for them, right? I mean, you do what they did last week and you feel like it's coming together, and then you have a moment like this that once again places you behind the 8 ball.
Thought he was going to get lucky and spin it kind of down the racetrack, but that wall kind of angles back out. This would be a good view. I thought he was going to miss it right there by the audit camera. Man, that's a pretty hard shot.
Shot the front tires up off the ground.
It's right on board. 10.
Thought for a second he was going to ricochet off the inside wall in turn 11 as well, but he was not.
Anybody that rides a roller coaster of emotions in this sport more than Bubba Wallace. Last week, coming into San Diego thinking, man, I'm not great at these road courses, probably considering this might be a frustrating weekend. He goes out, has an incredible day, and runs second. Comes into Sonoma, hoping to maybe build off of that momentum, and has this little misstep here.
Danielle?
John Hunter Nemechek watching Bubba Wallace go for a ride there. Your lap much better. You're 6th on the board right now. How pleased are you with your 42 Toyota?
I feel pretty good. these guys have brought a fast 5-barker Toyota Camry XSE this weekend, and we've been working really hard on the road course front. I feel like last year that was kind of our Achilles heel and didn't run very well. We had one breakout finish, I guess, but overall just wasn't very consistent for us and didn't have a lot of grip or potential in our race cars. So something that we've went to work on. I feel way better here at Sonoma this year than I have in years past. I think last year we were about 2 seconds off SVG, so only 6/10 off isn't bad right now, but it's been a lot of work, a lot of simulator time, a lot of studying film, things of that sort. And over the last month and a half, both the 42 and the 43 have had a lot of potential in their race cars and have been pretty quick. So I feel good about our race trim balance. Going to work on a couple of things overnight, some adjustments that I feel like I need from the race car and myself to be better for tomorrow, but hopefully that time holds up. I'm not sure where that'll put us just based off of Group A. Compared to Group B in practice, Group B was pretty much all faster than Group A except for a couple cars. So hopefully we wind up in the top 10, top 15 and have a good shot to go collect some stage points and have a really solid result tomorrow.
Hard to ignore Legacy Motor Club and the momentum that you and Eric Jones have right now. A lot of improved speed, a lot of good performance. John Hunter, how do you answer the question? People are wondering, how are you doing it? What's going on at Legacy?
It's just been a process, and it's trusting in the process, right? For me, coming here in 2024, we knew it was going to take time to build to where we want to get, and that's to be able to contend for race wins and championships eventually. And it all starts with people, all the great men and women back at Legacy Motor Club here. We made some more new hires over the off season and at the start of this year that I think have definitely shown up the last month and a half or so. I feel like when you get a new person in and you start putting new processes, new procedures in place, it definitely takes time for those to show up on the racetrack. But I feel like we're kind of getting there now. I feel like the validation of us having speed and potential now at a lot of these racetracks that we're going to shows that we're working in the right areas to find the potential and grip and speed in our race cars. So I'm excited for the future with Legacy Motor Club. I'm excited to go race tomorrow, but it's fun showing up knowing that you have potential and grip in your race car to be able to go fast.
Look at the smile on John Hunter's face. That's what happens when you're P6 on the board right now. Thanks, John Hunter.
I just hope I get
Caught that Pocono a couple of weeks ago for John Hunter Nemechek in top 5 all that race. Actually led the second most laps, only behind race winner that day, Denny Hamlin. Bubba Wallace was the only driver that actually completed a lap in Group 2 of qualifying before the crash took place in turn 10 at the start of his second lap. Shane Van Gisbergen then still the fastest overall. As the lap time to beat for you to follow on our raw feed / live leaderboard is going to be a 74.914. That was the best lap Shane Van Gisbergen put down in Group 1 of qualifying. You will not see any of the Group 1 times with the Group 2 times as those laps are being posted on our raw feed. So not like usual qualifying where it's single car and you see everybody on the same list with the different groups. For some reason, NASCAR's website does not intertwine all the times together. Even though they do it for practice in 2 different groups, they don't do it for qualifying. Bubba Wallace, not sure if he's going to go to a backup car or not, but he has crunched the nose of that race car in after making contact with that concrete wall in turn 10. Denny Hamlin completing his lap, not a great one. He was on track trying to warm his tires up as Bubba Wallace had crashed, so now Denny's back out there again. And probably going to hurt his overall lap time for the second go-around, but we'll see what will happen. A little less than 15 minutes to go in qualifying on a timed session. Denny Hamlin has never won in his Cup career at Sonoma Raceway. One of the few tracks he has not yet won a NASCAR Cup Series points-paying race. Pulls here back in 2016, Tony Stewart's final season. Knocked out of the way in the final hairpin coming back to the start-finish line after using a bump and run at the top of the hill. Right around turn 7 on Tony Stewart. Stewart got him back. Coming back to the finish, that ended up being Tony Stewart's final career win in the NASCAR Cup Series in his final full-time season. So Hamlin now starting his next lap. A couple corners into it with the timing line being changed. The alternate start-finish line is in between turns 9 and 10. Not far in front of the entrance of pit road. Is just coming out of the S's. So a lot of drivers have not yet taken a lap in Group 2. David GB, thanks for tuning in. Probably going to wait until the last couple minutes to see a lot of these drivers on track again. Last week, knowing the tire fall off and everybody wanting to go out late and only for one run to lay down one good lap, we had a ton of drivers, almost everybody in the group, in the last probably 3 minutes making their lap. Well, you see a lot of cars on track as the session's coming to an end because you got guys not only making their first laps, but maybe their second laps if they had a lap earlier in the run. They're trying to put a lap time that could be better than that. A little bit more spaced out here this week, with Sonoma being only in its third year under the current pavement that was repaved just a couple seasons ago. Austin Hill sitting second right now. That's a very good lap. Denny Hamlin, by the way, just jumped up to sixth quickest. So sixth fastest for Denny Hamlin, right between Connor Zilich and John Hunter Nemechek in qualifying thus far. Hamlin got better as the laps were winding on last week. We'll highlight the in-season tournament challenge. I'll be filling out my bracket tomorrow on stream during the pre-race of tomorrow's race at Sonoma. Give us a little extra pre-race, I guess, if you will. And the matchups for this weekend, the number one seed, of course, with being the points leader, is Tyler Reddick. And it's just based off of points this year. I like that they did that versus last year in the in-season tournament. They just went off the 3-race stretch before the tournament, and it was the best average finish. Not the case here this time. They're going straight off of points. So the better drivers as of this portion of the season going to be the higher seeds going against the drivers who aren't as good. I think that's going to keep there from being a lot more upsets in the first round. So a chance to win $1 million. You fill out a perfect bracket. You might as well fill that out. That is on NASCAR.com and or the NASCAR mobile app. Tyler Reddick going against Alex Bowman as the first matchup of the first round. You got Austin Cindric, Brad Keselowski, 16th and 17th in points right there on the chase cut line. Daniel Suarez, Todd Gilliland will be in this matchup. Carson Hocevar will be squaring off against Zane Smith. Chase Briscoe against AJ Allmendinger. Ty Gibbs against Austin Dillon. Bubba Wallace, who starts more than likely at the back now because of this crash in qualifying, he'll be going against Michael McDowell's a great road course racer. Chase Elliott, Noah Gragson will be the bottom left-hand corner matchup, the 4 and 29 battle. Denny Hamlin, the 2 seed, going against Ty Dillon, who made a miracle run last year as a 32 seed. He's a 31 this year. He made it to the finals. Can he do it again? Eric Jones and Joey Logano, the 15-18 matchup. Chris Buescher, John Hunter Nemechek should be a good one because Nemechek and that Legacy Motor Club team have been very fast as of late, and Chris Buescher very good on the road courses. Christopher Bell, Ross Chastain, going to be interesting there. That could be an upset, especially if we see Brett Cruz maybe fill in for Bell. William Byron, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is going to be the next matchup. Kyle Larson is faced off against Riley Herbst. Shane Van Gisbergen against Ryan Preece, and then Ryan Blaney against Josh Berry. That is your matchups for the round of 32, first round of the in-season tournament challenge. Second race of the round will be at Chicagoland. The third race at Atlanta. North Wilkesboro will be the semifinals and the championship for the second year in a row. Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the Brickyard 400. $1 million for a perfect bracket. $1 million for sure going to go to the winner of this tournament. Second year of the in-season tournament in the NASCAR Cup Series. Flash to the top of the leaderboard right now. Joey Logano's second fastest. He is the fastest in Group 2 with a 75.139. Still about 2/10 off of Shane Van Gisbergen's 74.914 second lap time. Briscoe's second fastest in this session. Hamlin still holding on to third, though we've only had a few drivers make a lap.
Favorite things to do in Napa. I asked Briscoe what his afternoon plans were. He said after a while he was going fishing, so he's found a lake somewhere here.
There you go. Suarez went to 10th. Briscoe comes back, goes 7th on the board.
54 Gibbs on a pretty solid lap. He's a really good road course racer and is ranked here in Sonoma. Only a 10th off, headed down into turn 4. A little bit of a lock up there, getting everything he can on braking. Headed to 7.
Boy, it looked green.
And a little shallow entry there. It's going to cost him on the exit. Gives a little bit of it back. But SVG got through these S's so well. Can Gibbs match it?
Tight, quick back and forth corners. SVG is just so good compared to the rest of the field. Looks like he beat Gibbs out in the S's, and that was the main difference between first and second.
Do a 14.91 for Van Gisbergen.
Reddick on a flyer. He was tracking in the green a little bit. Now
Carson Hosevar qualified second a week ago.
turning
He's
down
sporting
those
with
S's.
it.
Man, SVG really got through the second S's.
Turn 4 to turn 7 for Reddick.
Good lap. Savari.
Carson Hosevar to the top of the leaderboard in qualifying 74.854. He beat Shane Van Gisbergen by about 600ths of a second.
Truck Series competition.
Second a week ago,
77 is strong. Reddick
sneaky
goes
beats the 97.
Here is Hosevar.
Oh, he's done it.
Look at that. Top 114.85 for
Look at
Carson Hosevar.
With flair. That's how he does it. With a lot of flair.
How many times in his life do you think he said, hey, watch this?
He's 16th in practice with a 76.28. I mean, we just didn't see him as a threat. When he sits on the outside of front row last week in San Diego, comes here today and gets the best of SVG.
I don't know if it's the most dramatic lap he's ever put on the board here. When you think about when he won that truck pole, he had busted his foot the weekend before at St. Louis, came here and put it on the pole.
The Dow's on a great lap here.
He is.
Spire showing up. 77 on the top, 71 on a great lap.
They put all three of those cars top 10 qualifying last week in San Diego. McDowell, a runner-up earlier this year at Watkins Glen to SVG. He's won on the road at Indianapolis.
That hairpin is where Hosevar got so much time.
Although he's really getting down the S's.
Here's McDowell.
Oh, the curve got him.
Back and forth. It's going to be close.
I don't think he's going to get it. Second for McDowell.
Second on Michael McDowell.
He was in the green until he hit the first curve of the S's and went wide, and Carson Hosevar holds on.
I think McDowell's done.
Well, McDowell could do better. He's got a shot to go up to the pole. He was very, very close. Obviously, he SVG's time.
Says he's definitely not done, right, Dale?
And he's still trying to run the lap together. Just have to wonder whether the tires start to nose over and lose a little bit of pace and grip. Right now, 2/10 up. I think Hosevar was pretty good through the S's, but there's a little bit there. Starting to see it there. The car starting to just give up a little bit of grip. Pushed a little bit wide right here. Starting to give up a little time here and there. Man, McDowell, I think, had the outright speed. He's going to want a few corners back from the lap before. Onboard Larson on the bottom of your screen, basically matching the lap of the 77. I agree, Dale. McDowell's going to think of just a couple corners that had the difference. Larson headed to the S's. Great acceleration.
McDowell P1 or is it? Nope, still
A
Hosevar.
lot of time on the front row.
Oh my gosh, so close. Second, they're all over the top of each other.
Look at that, a 14.85 to a 14.87. Larson gets McDowell by 7 thousandths of a second for the second position in qualifying. That's for 4 minutes to go, Group 2. Larson staying in it.
Wow, and a big 2/10, just this bottom section of the track. Oh, you're ahead of that one right now. Put them together. Oh, and he's told, you're ahead. Everybody, though, I think even seen McDowell was 2/10 up on Hosevar in the first couple of corners. But they all seem to have a hard time matching the backside of the lap. You see it. This is where he was off from Hosevar last time, almost a 1/10 in this section. But then as he turned the corner, it started to come down the S's. He found some pace back in the 5 car. See if he can do it again. He's going to need it. Not going to be able to do it, Steve. You know, I agree with you. It's like just a little too much time on the tires. Chastain's on a solid lap here. AJ Allmendinger sitting right on top of full speed as well, headed down into turn 4. He's 36th on the board. He's going to need
Oh, big wiggle by AJ.
lap here. He's close. Unhappy with his car in practice. They made some gains on that 16 for Allmendinger. And here's Chastain. Now remember, he'll be compared to Hosvar down the S's. We knew SVG was good. I thought Hosvar also did down the S's really well.
Chastain is right there.
I just absolutely love the hustle from turn 7 through the S's and down to that all-start finish line. Driver 1 looks great.
Fourth for Chastain.
You know, you said it though. We're talking 5/100ths of a second covers the top 5 on a 2-mile, 12-turn road course. That's incredible considering there's almost a second from first to 20th.
Well, you look at that top 10. There's a lot of really good stories there, and a lot of big-time wrecks. We go right here tomorrow on TNT.
Those little slides that cost you, that 19, that little wiggle. It's time as much as just heats up those rear tires. We'll see if it does damage here in the second half of the lap.
Just to put it in perspective, with less than 2 minutes to go in qualifying, the top 5 times that you see on our screen from Group 2 are actually the top 5 in qualifying overall. Shane Van Gisbergen is now in actually 5th place. So the top 4 times for what you see on our grid would be qualifying overall as well. So Carson Hocevar first, Kyle Larson is second, Ross Chastain, Michael McDowell would be around row 2. SVG, Denny Hamlin, believe it or not, pretty good in qualifying thus far. On our leaderboard's got Denny Hamlin in 12th. Oh, it's Chase Briscoe. Had the wrong JGR Toyota. Briscoe, just behind SVG in 6th. Top of the leaderboard, Ty Gibbs on his second run late in the session. With less than 60 seconds to go, will take away the top time from Carson Hocevar. 74.83 and an average speed of 95.737 miles per hour. And now that bumps SVG out of the top 5 in qualifying. That's something we usually see on these road courses. Joey Logano also tracking in the green. He's on his second run right now. His first run, he was initially in second, fastest in this group. Now all of a sudden he's 9th in this group and running in the 10th place spot in qualifying as he enters his final run. Once Gibbs went to the top, though, Logano's lap not competing with where the 54 is, but looking for a pickup nonetheless. So Ty Gibbs going to shut it down after completing his lap. Qualifying time is now hit 0, so anybody on the track that is completing their lap, they can complete it, but they cannot start a new one. Denny Hamlin, Tyler Reddick, and Joey Logano are the only 3 cars still on the track, all of them tracking in the red, and by more than 1/10 of a second right now, so unless there's a major pickup, it does not look like anybody is going to dethrone Ty Gibbs today. So how about that? Couple of young guns on the front row with 1 career Cup Series victory. Ty Gibbs and Carson Hocevar will be on the front row for tomorrow's race. Once Ty Gibbs pulls onto pit road, I'm sure we'll get an interview with our pole sitter for tomorrow's race in the Toyota Save Mart 350. It is a Toyota on the pole, JGR, and it is Ty Gibbs, who is a pretty good road course racer and could have a real shot at trying to go for his second career win this weekend and in the same season. Second consecutive week on the road that Carson Hocevar is going to qualify in second place as well. Gibbs still getting out of his race car right now. And I'm going to have to wait for the TV graphics on the starting lineup before I can read that off to you all, since the NASCAR raw feed on their website did not intertwine the lap times. Just a reminder, we're going to be live at 5:30 p.m. Eastern, a little over an hour from now, for the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race at Sonoma. And tomorrow we'll be live for the Cup race at 3 p.m. Eastern on the channel, beginning with our pre-race show. Here is Carson Hocevar, qualified second first.
Watch Ty Gibbs' lap. Ultimately, is P1 tomorrow. Carson, what was the difference between your lap and the 54s?
I mean, I didn't feel like my lap was very good, and I was getting ready to run another, and I got through 10, and they said P1, and I was like, well, shit, I don't have to do another. I'm pulling right in. So I was super happy about that, like the lap time, but I didn't think it was amazing. So guys stuck well there. Yeah, I was just really happy with the lap. First race for Classic Collision here, and yeah, we wanted to give them a good showing. And I was texting Twan, and I was like, man, I don't know if you got the best one to pick the first one. Be at Sonoma probably months ago, and at least be on the front row here is pretty cool, and go back to back here, seconds. Hopefully that's a good trend here. San Diego, we obviously had a shot, so yeah, we'll see how it goes. But super happy with everybody here at Spire. The 71 team and the 7 team really helped the 77 team. My guys are really, really smart, but this is a full team effort here to get me comfortable. I don't give any feedback. I don't even think I said anything after practice. I was just like, you just let me know. You just put in whatever you think, and I'll just drive it. So
Very impressive to see what this team has put together. For Carson Hocevar tomorrow, he'll start second, Marty.
Boy, Danielle, what a lap for
Ty Gibbs.
Here at Sonoma. Congratulations all around. I love it because you told your crew chief, Tyler Allen, immediately after that first run, I need to go again because there's more out there. Where did you know you had more in the 54 car?
yeah, the reruns are kind of just super weird here. Sometimes you can go a lot faster, sometimes you won't. So I feel like I just had some more speed out there. Marseille, so the camera is really fast this weekend, and we're really excited to race it tomorrow. Linking to Monster Energy and Oakley and everybody that helps me out.
Third time in his career, Adam, that Ty Gibbs will lead the field to the green flag.
Reigning champ when it comes to
Ty Gibbs won the in-season tournament championship last year. Got his first career Cup win this year. We'll see what comes for him. Starting lineup for tomorrow's NASCAR Cup race at Sonoma will look like this. Ty Gibbs on the pole. Carson Hocevar will be starting in second. Row number 2 will be Kyle Larson and Michael McDowell. Larson, a 2-time Sonoma winner. Ross Chastain and Shane Van Gisbergen in row 3. SVG, the winner here a year ago. Chase Briscoe with AJ Allmendinger in row 4, and then Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano still looking for the first Sonoma wins. They will be in row number 5. And row number 6 is going to be Tyler Reddick with Austin Hill, William Byron, Christopher Bell in row 7, Chris Buescher, Ryan Blaney, row 8, Connor Zilic with Chase Elliott in row number 9, and then Ryan Priest, John Hunter Nemechek, row number 10. In row number 11, it is going to be Daniel Suarez, the 2022 winner, with Alex Bowman, Watson Cindric, and Zane Smith in row 12. Row 13, Riley Herbst and Bubba Wallace, who crashed in qualifying a little bit after that run that got him 26th on the board. Cole Custer with Josh Berry will be in row 14. Row 15 for Todd Gilliland and Austin Dillon. In row number 16, it is going to be Ty Dillon with Eric Jones, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Noah Gregson in row 17, and rounding out the 36-car field, row 18, Brad Keselowski and Cody Ware. So that rounds out the full 36-car field for tomorrow's race. Our starting coverage for tomorrow's action will be at 3 p.m. Eastern. Hope to see you for that. And again, 5:30 p.m. Eastern, a little over an hour from now, we'll be live for the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race at Sonoma. Thanks for watching this live commentary stream of practice and qualifying coverage. I will see you guys in a little bit. Thanks for watching, everyone.